banana facts right now. Good morning. Welcome to Screen Junkies Universe, where we are inevitably doing banana facts today. We will also talk about entertainment things, including but not limited to The Rock and Shade. Danielle Radford is here to weigh in on the serious business of the Fast and the Furious.
I'm so happy.
Yes. Oh, I'm so happy. Today's going to be amazing because Joe Starr is back.
Hi.
Yay!
I was running for the promise of banana talk.
Yeah. Well, no. We'll be returning to banana facts.
Fair.
Ed Greer, get your banana facts ready, sir.
I will.
Welcome back on Ed
Laffy
Mondays.
Taffy, as it were.
Ed Mondays. So John Cena is in Furious 9. Yay! That happened on Friday. We know, but we have more things to add to this. He is playing a character that is thusly being referred to, quote, a badass. I have a lot of thoughts on that and who this badass may be. But first, let's just talk about the idea of John Cena in a Fast and the Furious franchise. How many Coronas are we rating this? 1 to 10.
I'm going to say, would Cena be on screen drinking a Corona? Well, no, you know what? After some of the things he shot for like Trainwreck and things
Yeah. No, because he has if you watch his wonderful reality show he was on with his girlfriend called Total Velas, or as I call it, Totes Bells, he drinks wine and beer on that show all the time. He has like a wine cellar. He is a wine man. I think he would crack open a cold one.
Okay, for a second I was like, but for the kids, I'm going to give this 8 Coronas. 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10 Coronas. Ed Greer.
I mean, these movies are getting better all the time. I'd love it when Stone Cold comes in. I mean, let's just get nuts.
Yeah.
I would love to see wrestlers have a nice, cushy acting life after bashing themselves around for 20 years. To come into these movies, be like some heavies, maybe sit down, deliver some lines, do a promo sitting down.
Well,
you know
I feel like that's what Expendables was supposed to be.
Yes.
Was like the retirement plan for wrestlers and 80s stars, and like they didn't pan out that way, I feel like. And
it didn't work out.
Yeah, maybe Fast picks up that
the mantle.
Yeah.
Well,
that's brilliant.
I don't know if we saw the Expendables at this table.
Of course I did.
Yeah, thank you. I knew you wouldn't disappoint. You never do. Obviously, the second Expendables movie, not unlike The Godfather, is the best of all of the Expendables. It is like pinnacle Expendables.
I think about those two together all the time.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the third one just didn't live up to the magic of. I just want to remind us in the second Expendables movie, we had both heads in the first 15 minutes of the movie fully exploding off of bodies, and then we had Dolph Lundgren's character in a cave, just like losing his mind because he was such a genius. These are things that the third movie didn't have, unfortunately. Danielle, I'm going to return us to the Fast and the Furious. Reportedly, we don't have confirmation on this yet. The Rock is not in this movie. Shade talk.
I mean, look, if you have to choose, because I believe him and Vin like money enough to get over it. I think that Tyrese is like he's the wild card, and it's like you gotta keep your Ryan agrees.
Ryan just said, "Yep."
You gotta keep your Tyrese because it's about family, and so. I think it's great. It's not like he's got his own series. He's going to be just fine with the Hobbs and Shaw. I think it's just so funny considering that, not to get too into wrestle talk, but just everyone has always been calling Cena the new Rock, and this is the most literal way that could happen. It's just weird.
You have to assume, though, so The Rock came in representing the government, like a government agency, and he was kind of the heavy, but only because he was playing the lawman, and they're, of course, known international jet skiing criminals.
Right.
And heisters.
Yes.
I believe.
Is the word.
Is the official. Yeah. Okay.
I am a heister.
I want that on a jacket.
I plan and execute heists.
We didn't get your number of Coronas, but
my name is Roger
we'll return
Heister.
that.
15 Coronas.
15 Coronas. So, but I assume that Cena is going to be an actual bad guy in this movie because the arc of the Fast and the Furious, as we know, is that you go from bad guy to Corona, living family member in about 2 to 3 movies.
Right.
Yeah. That's the arc.
That's the arc.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I think, and I think that works because he does a lot of jorts and freestyling, and then if Charlize could do cornrows as a bad guy, I feel like that flows for John Cena.
You think he's gonna rap?
I think so.
You
I
think
hope
him and
he
Luda
raps.
can have a rap off?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope he only speaks in rhyming couplets like the dude from the first Punisher movie, the Dolph
Yeah.
Lundgren Punisher. That's
Yes.
what I want from this John Cena.
Well, I think we've owed Ludacris for a while. Ludacris's job has been mostly to be like, damn, that girl's fine, but Tyrese is trying to get at a dog, or like looking forlorn while somebody else has a slightly doper supercar. He's like, ah, man, that's a Turismo. Damn,
He's owed a moment.
That's been his role. So like when John Cena come busting these rudimentary ass trailer park raps and Ludacris lights his ass up, I'll be like, yes, I'm gonna spill my popcorn in the theater watching that.
I would
Do you
also.
think they're going to settle their differences via rap-off at the end of the film?
That's what I
Wow
want.
Racing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm fine with that.
You know
I
what?
think that's
That's
I'm
the
good with
only
that.
place you can go now.
8 Mile in a
You
car.
know, yeah, because we keep joking about like where are they going to go now?
Yeah.
Are they going to go to space?
No.
I think you go full on 80s musical at the end. That's the only place for the series left to go.
Is there a center?
There has to be a center.
Yeah.
But it's like an evil center.
Okay.
Where it's like, this is where we keep our cars because we're bad, but it's also where we help kids not be so bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's a place where the kids get to learn how to work on the stolen cars.
Okay.
And to keep them from doing worse crimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle
For
first
all
one
of
gang.
you
Yeah.
out there
Yeah.
that are unfamiliar
Regular or
with
menthol?
80s break-in dance movie tropes, I just want to explain what we're talking about right now. Typically speaking, there is a center. It's a youth center in which the youths go in order to not be
Bad use,
youths, and they are then good use. Eventually, the center is threatened inexplicably, always by a real estate developer. Who is trying to take over and ruin the things that make life good for the people that are not ultimately wealthy in this country.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We've been talking about
eventually-
gentrification for a while on
Yeah.
the big screen.
Yeah, for a while. Eventually, people come together and dance to save America. And I feel like what we're proposing here, and Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the Fast and the Furious is ultimately going the same way.
I think so. I think that's what
Except
you do.
it's the world.
If
Yes.
maybe if he's not the main villain, then he's like an agent of the main villain somehow. Maybe it's an evil real estate developer who then stakes in the third act all the plans on one big race.
Okay.
With Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Feeling this.
So we've sanctioned a fair bit of shenanigans this morning so far, but let's actually talk about the behind the scenes and the real things we think are going on. So Justin Lin is reportedly returning to this. He is the genius that brought us Fast Five. Thank you, Justin.
Yes.
And so this is like, if Vin Diesel has anything to do with it, and if this is kind of a power move in Return to Hobbs and Shaw, which is directed by David Leitch of uncredited, I guess, for John Wick, but anyway, a producer on all the John Wick movies, among other things.
Well, the Directors
Deadpool
Guild
2.
said there could only be one. They did the Highlander thing on
Yeah.
him some kind of way, and there could only be one. So yeah.
So, but Deadpool 2, among other. Anyway, so David Leitch is directing Hobbs and Shaw. That's obviously a franchise where the people behind it, whether it's The Rock or the producer, all of them know enough to know that Jason Statham and The Rock were the standouts of the last Fast and Furious movie, that their scenes were the ones that brought the most energy and life to the screen. So they just went off to do their own movie, like many fans kind of wanted them to do. And then in response, Tyrese was obviously really, really pissed. He did a lot of Instagramming about his feelings.
Yes.
Just eat them next time, and or Instagram them. It's good. We did ultimately end up feeling bad for Tyrese because he was in a bad way. So reportedly bad blood between Vin Diesel and The Rock, right? So now this does appear to be the answer, where John Cena is getting as popular as The Rock. I think he's an incredibly talented actor. I legitimately do. Not just a comedic actor and not just an action star, but like I think he can act.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He's pretty good. Like he's getting there, man. And did you see him in Blockers? He was a great dorky dad.
That's the role that I wanted to be in this. Like maybe
Yeah,
he used to be
yeah.
a street dude, but now he's a suburban dad.
Yeah,
Who's like, guys,
yeah.
no more Coronas. Like I left all that behind, and still in his dad shorts and a polo
that's why
shirt,
he's
but doing
just-
crazy stuff.
That's why he's describing him as a badass, because they're setting you up for the reversal, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flip it.
Sorry, you said it inspired me.
No,
Yeah.
but it does really appear to be that these are going to be now like competing franchises in a way, which is so strange.
It's a brand split.
Yeah.
It's a brand split. It's very. I find it hard to. I worry when you start thinking about people cannibalizing their own franchises in this way. But I definitely, if as long as they keep the quality and as long as they keep the integrity of these Fast and the Furious movies, then I think that it'll be fine. Bringing in John Cena was
that you just said that.
Brilliant move.
Well, I mean, some of these things, though, I think there could be addition by subtraction for some of these things. Like, every story doesn't have to have a part where Ludacris is sitting in this slightly less fresh car, or something's happening over here, this guy has this, or Letty is doing this, getting blown up, or all this kind of jazz. No. We're concentrating on, like, I'd love to see Rocket and Groot and somebody go have an adventure. Spend $84 million on that.
Well,
you know what I mean? I'd love for them to start. If that's cannibalization, well, then call me a.
Well, I think
it
could either go bad, or I think you could get cool stuff like kind of what you want to see, or like losing things like, oh, that's the less dope car. Damn, you know, like because the Fast and Furious franchise makes money. It doesn't really have competition. I mean, sure, MCU and stuff like that, but like, you know, like, it's not a comic book movie. It's sort of like its own thing. But if now all of a sudden you have it competing against itself in a way, with like the people sort of at the heads of it being like, I want to outdo you, like maybe that breeds some like really cool artistic innovation and like losing some of those tropes and taking some risks. And
competition never hurt nobody.
Yeah. Maybe that can get cool.
The things that Hobbs and Shaw currently has that the Fast and the Furious 9 does not have include, but are not limited to, Helen Mirren, which was the other standout of the last Fast and the Furious movie, and Idris Elba as Superman, bad Superman.
But
and also Samoan Superman, Roman Reigns.
But is Cena the Helen Mirren of this movie?
Ooh.
Is Cena the Helen Mirren of any movie that he's in?
I think probably all of them.
I do agree that is kind of why they're sort of beefing up. I don't think Cena's going to be the last stunt casting we see for Furious 9.
No.
After I just made a plea and hope for quality, I think we also could easily go in a very opposite direction.
I mean, Fast and the Furious movies go by their own rules, so stunt casting isn't necessarily...
They live their life a quarter mile at a time.
Yeah, stunt casting is not something that hurts this franchise. If anything, it is part of the ethical and moral code of the franchise.
That's true.
Since it has been revitalized.
You're raising a lot of really good points. I mean, I think the other thing that we just want to say is there is a part of me, even though everyone says that the friction between these two stars is real, and based on real friction on the set, it does feel so similar to how wrestling is done, and it's probably good for both movies. That there's a part of me that's like, are you lying? Are they just drinking Coronas together
Kayfabe.
in their various?
They've created their own Marvel versus DC.
Yeah.
Like, they've engineered one for themselves. The whole franchise is going to continue making money. And, like, no, it's like if Disney owned both Marvel and DC, like they will in, like, probably 2 years.
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
They're working on the deal right now.
Business runs in. Breaking! Just sweating. They've, like, manufactured their own, and people are going to be like, no, I like the Rock ones. I like the Vin ones. Like, the money's all going to the same place.
It's all going to the same place.
It's all going to the same LLC.
Like, everybody's buying Coronas in the same money.
Yeah, brilliant. It's
and
great.
you know what? Good for Universal, because I do worry. You brought up Fox Disney 21st Century Mouse, and I do worry that will become such a dominant monopoly that these other studios like Sony and Universal, like I almost am even more rooting for them to find success in the franchises that they do have.
Here's the thing, it's spiritually pure, which is not something I ever thought I'd say about Fast and Furious, but instead of being like...
Why not?
Instead of being like, well, we can't compete with the mouse, what if the only real challenger I need to overcome is myself?
Me.
It's me. Like,
Fast and the Furious versus Mega Fast and the Furious. Shit, Fast and Furious.
Just Atreyu looking at his mirror self in the
I just rewatched
shadow
that.
boxing, love it.
I just rewatched that in Big Bear.
Son of a...
That's so weird. We're talking about the never-ending story, and you're right. Your only competition is you, ladies and gentlemen, and The Rock in some cases. Just depends on what kind of life you've chosen to live. I do think there is something about that where I want to see them succeed, just because I think the market will be better for it.
Absolutely.
And we will be better. Because all of the films that come out of that are the smaller films that we want to see, see are allowed to happen if these studios are allowed to keep functioning.
Like, if Ludacris has a straight to even just like a streaming series that feels more like the first one, where it is just about stealing cars and cool. Yeah, I'm in.
Well, I think it's. I was balking at cannibalization describing this because it's more like expansion, and sometimes expansion ends up, becoming cannibalization. But I don't think they're going to eat each other. And I was referencing Alive. The dudes on the mountain.
The dudes on the mountain.
How
do you say the dudes on the mountain and not the dudes in the plane?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Well, they didn't start eating each other till they got down to the mountain. So that's kind of how I identified them.
Well, that's true.
They're not the plane guys.
You could have just infuriatedly yelled "dudes on the mountain" to me for the next week, and I would have been like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what
I hate that.
If you had added the frozen dudes on a mountain,
yeah,
I might have been closer.
Were they
I still think the plane is a very integral part to that story.
Well, they were also soccer. They were playing soccer. I could have said that.
Or the guys that ate each other.
How do you identify alive when you're trying to communicate it? This is an actual game show that I want us to create, which is that I really do want to do this, or at least a round of a game show where you just have videos of moms being like, it's the one with the guy that's in the show that I like, and it's always Hitch.
And
is the answer.
It's always Hitch.
Okay, good. I think Did you have more on the Fast and the Furious? Do we? I want to get it out, guys. It's important that we
the only thing I had to say in addition was I came in on number 5. Blasphemy, I know. I came in on number 5.
That's a jumping on point.
Right.
I came in on number 5.
Yeah, I came in on number 5. So if somebody could come in on number 5, somebody could come in on number 9 or 10 or 12.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of interesting. And I love that David Leitch is directing Hobbs Shaw. I love the over the top action jazz that he's doing. I love that he's getting his due. He did Deadpool 2, as you saw on Atomic Blonde.
I just want more stunt casting. I just want I think Arrow just wrapped. I think you cast the entire CWD, put in the Amell brothers and they're playing brothers in the movie. All those guys that have been doing salmon ladders for the past 10 years, they need a home. They need a home.
They need a place to go.
They need a place to go. They need a youth center, Roth.
Yeah, they do. That's where the center comes in.
Wow, that is nice.
I'm very interested to see Vanessa Kirby's character in Hobbs and Shaw because she looks really cool, and I would like a female-led version of one of these movies. And so if she winds up being something really cool, we can get her doing some really interesting action-y stuff in London.
I like it.
And there's no reason why they can't throw $1 zillion at Gal unless she's because we're on a first name basis, me and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Unless
Your
WB's got her ironclad didn't she?
I think she
Did she die?
Yeah, but
that doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
Not in these movies.
It's all right. That's
You know what? They'll take her brain, put it
Ryan,
into
can
a
you
robot
fact
that's shaped
check
like
us?
her.
Yes. Yes.
If Gal,
she either left
Gal's
or died.
character died in the I think she's dead. Yeah.
How did she die?
But Dead's not dead.
But Dead is never dead in the movies, as we know. I think Statham, again, if you go
Nobody's
very
ever
quickly
gone.
from Mortal Enemy into, if Statham really was the one to kill her, then this gets amazing very quickly. When Cyborg Gal comes in and is that's when eventually they separate into the Hobbs and Shaw and Fast and Furious universes, crossover event, when Robot Gal comes in to fight, inevitably, I guess, hybrid AI Jason Statham, right?
Yes. Venom Statham.
Mecha Galzilla. I'm so into it.
She fell to her death, Jason Statham.
Oh, yeah.
She fell to it, but somebody must have pushed her.
A character named Adolfson.
Whatever.
Fuck
Adolfson. We're talking about.
JT says she heroically sacrificed herself.
Nothing was said.
Which means, to save on. So, therefore, you can just do a quick cutscene where Kurt Russell pulls her out of the rubble, and he's like, we have the technology, we can rebuild her.
And then she's Bionic Woman?
Yep.
Okay, into it. It's all, I'm pretty sure most of you are on board with everything that we're doing right now.
Transformer style.
And then it's Kit, and then it's the Knight Rider crossover that we've always wanted to have.
Yep.
Boy, we're in the 80s today. Like and subscribe, ring the bell for Fandom Entertainment, which is the channel that we are, as you very well know, I hope.
Right.
You gotta ring the bell, Joe.
Ding.
Yeah,
Bell.
apparently there's a bell. You got to ring it. These are the things that we know about the YouTubes. Please do tell your friends to help keep us living. Thank you. And speaking of staying alive and support for artists, we are going to. I did a documentary, you guys, earlier this year. I was able to do that about not so much Twilight, but about the fandom around Twilight and the fact that it's still going pretty strong today. 10 years later, there is a town called Forks, Washington, in which the series takes place. And there's a festival there every year celebrating Twilight, and they love it. And I went with Max Dionne, our producer, who we will show you. He is, true fact about Max is that he is very, very, very much team Jacob. Yeah, it's just a thing about him that we all have to learn to deal with.
Well, he imprinted on him.
Yeah. There was an experience where so there was like separate, oh God, the cosplayers are amazing, but they're basically like live together for the few days of the festival. And there's the Olympic Coven that lives in this cabin together. And I was able to go in and infiltrate the Olympic Coven and get transformed into a vampire. I did the contacts and everything.
Ew.
It took a minute. I think I have that too. They were glowing in the dark. It's hard to capture. We will show that is separate from the documentary itself, but we're going to show that one next week. The documentary debuts next week on Fandom Entertainment right here at 10 a.m. And it would mean a whole bunch to myself and all of us who worked really hard on it, especially Joe Starr, I think. I will just speak for you.
Well, to clear up any confusion, because I know, because we did the soft launch of it. So I think people in the comments sometimes are like, is this a different one?
Yeah.
So we did a soft launch.
We love Twilight that much.
Yeah, so that you guys kind of check it out. This will be like the official launch of that one. So yeah,
it'll be the official launch with Lionsgate and with the community and everything. We got everybody together, so it means something and
we took some time
awesome.
to dot some I's, cross some T's.
We had to do business papers in order to get to this point. So that's next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Please do watch, please do share. It would mean a lot to us. Also, other fun things on fandomentertainment.com include there's a couple Dark Phoenix pieces from our own Kim, one of which is I love Kim, and one of which is explaining the ending. The other which is a junket piece where she did fan questions, so you might have gotten your question asked. And then 7 ways that Marvel Studios can reboot the X-Men. 7 ways. 7 days. Do you like The Ring? I do. Let's talk about our next story. Sigourney Weaver is returning to Ghostbusters.
That is accurate. Disney's just like 7 days.
Sigourney Weaver is returning to Ghostbusters 3. This is via Parade Magazine.
It's very exciting.
Are you excited?
I am.
Oh, good.
I'm also excited to see the parade is still around.
I know. I was surprised.
It's the one Family Guy thing that I ever remember, and it's like someone says they saw an article in Parade, and Stewie gets very offended. He's like, Parade? You mean Parade? And it's the only Family Guy thing I know, and that makes me laugh.
I think that's the thing about this story that surprised me most of all. I was like, Parade's a thing? Oh, that's delightful.
Parade getting the scoop.
Good for you, Parade. So she sat down with them. Oh, and John Cena was via Deadline. You're welcome, Deadline. Parade Magazine, she sat down with them to talk about her career, and she said she would be joining the unofficially titled Ghostbusters 3. This is written and directed by Jason Reitman. And she said she would be joining Dan Aykroyd. This did surprise me. Dan Aykroyd does not surprise me at all, but Bill Murray, she said, would also be in the film. This is picking up after 1 and 2 in the 80s. And there's also some newcomers to the cast. According to the bullet point on my script, it is Finn Wolfhard of Stranger Things and It, Part 1 and 2. Okay, that's accurate. And then Carrie Coon of Proxima Midnight of Infinity War. Okay, no. Carrie Coon, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
The Leftovers and Fargo.
Thank
She
you.
is a journeywoman actress.
Give her things.
Come on.
Thank you.
There are the things.
Are those Marvel movies?
I never saw those Marvels. Did you see those Marvels?
I gotta catch up.
Fargo Marvels? I don't know from these. No.
I don't know from these nanas.
So we're not getting any Hudson? No, Eli?
I don't know. Unclear.
Ernie's gotta eat, people.
Ernie's got to eat. Give him his thing.
You have to assume we are.
Yeah, I
Right?
mean, justice for Ernie. He is?
JT, this just in from the booth.
Yeah.
JT said yes, or all of them are coming back. So first of all, what do we think about the idea of the long gestated Ghostbusters 3 and this cast returning, coming back together at this point?
So I've talked a lot before about not realizing when the 2016 one came out, I don't think I realized that like Ghostbusters fandom was like an intense real thing. I just wasn't super aware of it. Like people that really love the cartoon and like people that get proton packs made, and I think that's really cool. I just didn't really know it existed. So I can't speak on it as like, God, I'm so excited to like see them all like as their characters back on. I don't have that connection necessarily. But I think for those people, that's rad because that's, I feel like there's already a bigger chance that we'll see Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans in their respective costumes in the next 3 to 5 years than we ever would have gotten this properly, like with those guys in their uniform. So I think that's cool. All I really know about the plot from what I read is a kid finds car, which, but we'll see. Like Finn Wolfhard is a kid that finds the car and it's kids.
Maybe in the car is one of the proton packs, and in one of the packs is a ghost that's just been in there for a real like Slimer has just been hanging out in there for like 30 years.
He's just like,
and he's like
really emaciated
he's
and
just
depressing.
like comes out and he sort of looks like, I don't know if you watch Legion. I know you watch Legion, like the skinny emaciated version of the and then he's just really mad because he's been trapped in this proton pack. I would be mad too, frankly, if I was in a proton pack for 30 years. Ed, I think you would be.
Well, I think I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that approach. I think I'll go with the Professor Hulk approach, where we come back, we expect Slimer to be digging in a bunch of trash cans and all messed up, but he's real erudite. He's become CrossFit Slimer.
He got a GED.
He's got abs toward the bottom of his spectral trail.
Really got it together.
So washboard abs. He's flying around.
Buff
he's
Slimer.
romancing. He's on Tinder. He's like swiping.
Taking that ghost growth hormone.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? I'd love to see that. He's just like, oh yeah, I used to eat a lot of hot dogs, or whatever he's gonna say. I just think Ghostbusters has. I agree with Joe that it's like one of those things where you're either way into it and it's part of your zeitgeist, or you're kind of outside of it and you're just marveling at the fact that people dig this. I just recently talked about Egon on my podcast, Nerd Goat. I talked about it on Egon basically invented a blue collar quantum physics, for lack of a better word. So blue collar quantum physics, they get this weird loan from Dan Aykroyd's character, and next thing you know, they're in this real invented business. You know what I mean?
They would've been on Shark Tank.
They made an industry. They invented an industry. You know what I mean? And it's still somehow blue collar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'd love to see how, like, something like that in disrepair. How do they get it back? What are they gonna do? You know what I mean?
Maybe competing against like iGhost, like an app that helps you find.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
You know,
what do
you will
do?
report a ghost, and then someone comes and then takes care of the ghost for you.
I do wonder, like,
iGhost.
are you damned if you do, damned if you don't with Ghostbusters? Like, it's been so long since they.
I'm on iGhost. I'm sorry.
It's still on iGhost. Well, I don't, because that's what I always figured too. Like, it would be either be a googly thing, a googly thing, or they're franchised out, or whatever. But like, it's been so long since Ghostbusters 2. Like, I don't know. Can any iteration of this succeed?
I don't know.
Also, what about the
Hard.
thing of like that whole thing that happened in New York being like a Berenstain Bears thing? It's like, okay, you remember that marshmallow dude? Wasn't no marshmallow dude. What you talking about? Like, no, my cousin went down there. There's marshmallow stuff all in his hair, and we had to watch it.
The government said that was foam from a plane accident.
Exactly.
Okay, but remember that time when the Statue of Liberty was dancing?
Yeah.
It was like, no.
That was a July
David
4th
Copperfield
trick.
is another scrubber.
Yeah.
That is kind of interesting.
You know what I mean?
like that approach.
This credulous, and honestly, this
Ghost
thing.
truthers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This sort of
Aykroyd would be
credulousness,
into it.
the new
Yeah.
credulousness that has come out since this movie. That, you know what I mean? If you saw it with your own two eyes, that would have been enough. Now that's not enough. Deep fakes, all this weird stuff. So like, I think a weirdly incredulous or credulous world 30 years hence.
I honestly think you just recited Dan Aykroyd's daily inner monologue.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. The thing is,
100%.
he for so many years has been like crazy Uncle Dan, who's like, Ghostbusters 3 is happening, and you're like, okay, have passed the gravy, Uncle Dan.
also, reptilians are real.
And also reptilians are real, but that is true, Joe, as you know.
That's fair.
So I have proof, and I'll show it to you later. I have a few things I'd like to discuss with you.
in the Fandom
with
Uncovered
you and
documentary.
your family. It's in
And
that
you should tune in.
documentary. You're going to have to watch it in order to find the proof. So I do think that it's nice to see Crazy Uncle Dan finally get his day, and it's all. I will watch Sigourney Weaver in any of the things.
Absolutely.
It just gets a little bit tricky when you're clearly also trying to do a pass the mantle moment. I'm trying to think of cases in which that effectively passing the mantle movie worked and then the mantle was passed.
Right.
Like
I
you
don't
saw,
know.
they tried it with Jeremy Renner in a different sort of way with Bourne. Obviously, it's been tried with Indiana Jones. It's happening now with Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think that is hard when you're trying to like wrap up this story that people have loved for so long and then also create a new series at
Yeah.
the same time.
Because
But-
not to hurt anyone's ears by mentioning the 2016 one, but I feel like the first call was, hey, a mantle passing like might not be a story that works or that anyone wants to see, so they just skirted it completely, probably too far to one side. So it's like, is the hardcore mantle passing where like Bill Murray's literally like, here you go with a proton pack to Finn Wolfhard. Is that
Yeah.
too much the other way? I don't know.
Well, yeah, because you've got to wrap out these characters in a way that is satisfactory. And obviously, I know we've all been mentioning it, but you can see someone just biffed that, so you can see how that could go very wrong. And you have to introduce new characters that people are going to actually care about and that they're going to want to watch continue in these adventures. Either one of those things on its own is really, really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to put them together in one movie, a movie that fans have been waiting for 30 years.
Yeah.
That has all of this expectation behind it, especially because there was already a try at a reboot that for many people did not work. This movie has a lot of expectations on it.
Yeah.
And that's
think-
that's hard when you just want to tell like a good story.
And I think narratively, you run into the same problems that the new Star Wars trilogy and The Last Jedi did, where you have chapter 1 of the original character's story, all of this is a blank, and then you have the last chapter. So, for The Last Jedi, like a lot of people just felt whiplash because we never got the connective tissue between Luke at the end of Return of the Jedi, like waving at Force ghosts while Ewoks dance around him, to I tried to be a teacher and really blew it.
Yeah.
Really blew it. So that's like a lot to all of a sudden have to take in and absorb. And I think Ghostbusters runs the risk of that same problem. Like, you have so much space of like, how did Venkman get from A to F? This movie has 4 minutes to catch you up, and that 4 minutes might not work for you. I don't know. It might be a weird green milk lightsaber throw to you, or it might work. I don't know.
Jason Reitman also has a very particular aesthetic as a filmmaker, right? Which is, people like it, people don't. Everyone has feelings about it. For me, it depends on the movie. But like the young adult version of Ghostbusters is both intriguing to me, but also like it is an interesting fit. Like, you wouldn't do it if he wasn't Ivan Reitman's son, probably, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's not who you would hire to do this. But he is, and this has been in the works for quite a while. They have Ghost Court on the Sony lot, which is like the small production company that's basically devoted to like figuring out the Ghostbusters things. They're doing this huge tour with Wizards right now, where it's like Ghost Con, all over the country and celebrating. You're right, like a pretty healthy Ghostbusters fandom that does exist in the world, and I think they have lots of plans ideally for the Ghostbusters as a franchise. But I'm kind of like fascinated to see what the Jason Reitman version of a franchise like this is going to be, because he just has a different. He's like a smaller indie, like contained, grown-up comedy, dark comedy guy in my mind, and I don't want to put anybody in a box. Jason, I presume you're watching.
And then also, I mean, this is going to sound weird, but also with dealing with all the stuff in the sequel, he is a sequel. So there's also that added. It is.
That's true.
So he's got added pressure. True. But he does. Like, there's all that pressure on him because like, this is my dad's property.
Yeah.
It's just. I hope you're all sleeping. I hope you're all getting rest.
Yeah.
And
I want it to be great.
I want it to be great too. I just feel like, again, this is the kind of thing where there's a lot of expectation on and just a movie can't be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
And this is one movie that has to try to.
Yeah.
Right. And just like trying to retain the personality. Like Ghostbusters always had that thing of like, you obviously know nobody. You don't know no one's gonna die. You don't. I don't think you do. But at the same time, you kind of know. But it's so the ghosts have to present some sort of threat, but they always have to be going through something internally, or like the hey, we got to do X, Y, Z. We got to believe in each other across the streams. It's always the Avenger. It is still the Avengers aesthetic, retroactively fitted, obviously. But just like we can do this
With
if
a
we
jerk
get
from
together.
the city trying to make them sign the Sokovia Accords.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. William Atherton.
What is
his name?
the magic word?
Anyway, so
Captain America.
all I'm saying is, I think we could see something that was like a funny version of Old Man Logan, not the comic book, but Logan, the movie with Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
Was like, okay, these are the years, all these years hence, when Logan was like driving a Uber.
Yeah.
I thought that was so funny and so cool and so humbling and so real. You know what I mean? Because most of these people, you got this. My dad used to say, "Sun shines on a dog's ass." You know what I mean? Sometimes you're in the sun and everything's great. Sometimes you're not. Life is long.
That's a tonal tightrope.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
really is, because you also
Yeah.
have to have Slimer show up.
Yeah.
That's in
With-
canon.
with the
we already
cross-
established.
with the CrossFit
Like,
hats, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like that trailer with Johnny Cash hurt, and then all of a sudden Slimer's like, I don't know how you do it.
I don't know how to feel right now.
How do you do the Fat Thor version of Slimer?
What is the slowed down version of? Bum, 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 bum.
So yeah, I just think going forward.
Yes, we
Got to
take control.
You gotta take control, you guys. Gotta take control.
really slow and melancholy Bobby
Yeah.
Brown jam.
And then just one green slime.
Yeah, just one green
Just
slide deer
one.
while Adele sings
Yeah.
control.
Oh man, I want to see it. I want to see how they pull this off.
Well, how is the world? How would the world be affected? Again, if either they're incredulous of it, they think it's urban legend, or how would the world be changed if we knew for a fact that
There
ghosts
were
were hella
ghosts.
real?
If they sold out and like
1986 to 2019, how is the world different knowing for a fact ghosts are real? Ghost lift.
yeah, they're all they're like actual Jeff Bezos is now. Like they're all rich at the top of their game.
Yeah, but I mean, really, you would have entire industries springing up around it, and I don't think it would necessarily be just to clear the ghost out of your house. It would be to communicate with your loved ones. It would be there would be an entire industry of like, how do we do life extension if we're Jeff
ghosts
Bezos?
yeah.
Ooh,
And,
maybe
like-
people are doing charlatan versions of that stuff using like technological
Oh, of
fakery
course,
and cold
yeah.
reads and stuff.
Yeah.
And like Vickman and them are just like, look what they've done to us, man.
Or enough-
Ever since Egon died. And then there's that pause and then nobody says
Or enough
anything.
sky portals open that
Yeah.
like ghosts are just a regular thing now. Like they're cast on TV shows.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
like ghost talk shows.
Yeah.
And then
They're
there's
just around.
there's a series of talk shows that are uncovering the fake ghost shenanigans versus the real ghost. Like, how do you even prove
Yeah.
that? Yeah, I feel like then you would have like who's creating the robot body that the ghost can inhabit, and then we're just doing the Centurion Cylons in Battlestar Galactica.
That's true.
And and here's the thing about this Ghostbusters sequel is everything we just said. Some people will be like, that sounds fun. Some people will be like, trash, cringy trash. And it's like, that's what the movie's going to have to deal with.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
like, it'll be fascinating to watch.
Even if it's as straightforward, son, I've always wanted to give you this freaking proton pack. Even if it's something as simple as that. As Danielle would say, you can
Yeah.
biff that. You know what I mean? And that's very easy to mess up.
I know you're depressed right now.
That's almost too easy to mess up to
Yeah.
do it. Like, I
Right,
just don't think you
exactly.
should hand off the proton
Exactly.
pack.
Son, I know you feel
Exactly.
lost and sad right now, but busting always made me feel good.
Yeah.
Wah.
How much ghost sex would there be? Like, would there be an entire like ghost light district?
Dan Aykroyd
know.
says that he has said that he has had sex with ghosts.
He sure does repeat that quite a bit. Yeah.
He really,
Oh, come on.
does.
Wouldn't you? Oh, tell everybody that. My leading conversation
Oh my
starter.
God.
I am Joe. I've banged a ghost.
oh my God! Can you imagine how many times in meetings where they've talked about this? He's been like, "So did you use the thing?" And Ivan's like, "Yeah, I'll put the thing in. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah, the thing.
We'll get the thing in
No,
there.
I just
Come
wanted
on
to
in."
fly down from the sky. I get it. Shut up.
Yep,
Shut
yep.
up.
All right, my final question before we go on to our final important Bieber v. Cruz story, which is a very important story for us because we are a beef sandwich today, is tell us one quick ghost encounter that you've had, Danielle, and everyone. Have you had a ghost encounter? Anybody? Everybody? We all have. Tell me one of yours.
It wasn't me. It was this dude that I would, like, my 13-year-old boyfriend or something. There was a school over by us on base that everyone said was haunted. And so a bunch of them went to the haunted school, and they were like, Danielle, would you like to go? And I was like, that sounds dumb. Why are you playing with ghosts? And so they went down there, and they claim that when they were sneaking around, a door opened and pinned him, and he started screaming and yelling. And they basically used it to make fun of him for being afraid of the supernatural for a while. Uh-huh. So that's
a weird thing to make fun of someone for.
Yeah, that feels like a weird thing to make fun. But they were also like older kids too. Yeah. So and then they came back and they were like, "Do you want to go with us again?" And I was like, frolicking, no, I don't. Why would I? I'm not going to go to your weird ghost tours. Yeah. I think that's the only one I've ever had. I feel like every person I've ever dated has told me that they have seen a ghost. So if you want to see a ghost, I guess hit me up on Tinder next time I'm single. I don't know, man.
Is that on your profile?
I should put it on there.
Yeah, you really should.
You want to see
a ghost? Joe, what's your ghost story?
Well, you have, for this question, selected the wrong member of the Starr Torgerson Incorporated Partnership for Ghost Stories. But I did live in a house that I'm pretty sure was haunted. It's the one time that I've been like, things exist! Yeah. I came back from a summer job and didn't have time to find an apartment when I went back to school. So I lived in this lady's basement for a while. And that place, you know, in Evil Dead, the camera on the 2x4 going, there was one night where I just felt like that sort of rushed towards me. There were always birds just getting into this place. I woke up one morning and there were just two birds on a beam in the basement just looking at me. Hated it. I was taking a shower once, carpeted bathroom for one, not just, that's spooky on its own, carpeted bathroom. But then also the bathroom door opened on its own over carpet. Yeah. Freaky, weird, haunted house. I still get weirded out when I think about that place. Rent-free, very nice. Thank you for letting me stay, Caddy. But very haunted home.
Yes, okay.
I'd find her daughter just staring at walls. It was weird.
Oh, God. That is the creepiest image in any horror trope is just the people staring at walls.
Whoa. It's really weird. I mean, personally, I don't think I...
Segue to my favorite bit of yours.
Oh, no, yeah, I know. Oh, God. I'm still going to do that on TV one day.
Okay.
But I don't think I've seen a ghost. But my mom tells a story of being going over her friend Marjorie's house and sleeping in the back room that nobody wanted to go in, blah, blah, blah. And she said she was sleeping there and basically, just somebody came in and sat on the bed and that pushed down the appropriate amount for a person to be there, but there was 0 people there, no people there. And she said that really weirded her out, and she didn't know whether she, dreamed it or what or whatever. Mm-hmm. And the door was locked. Yeah. She had locked the door because she's just she's a Greer, she's paranoid. so she locked the door to make sure everything was copacetic. And something came in and sat down and pushed down the bed.
So that's similar to mine, which is I grew up in a very, very reportedly haunted place. So 2 things about this place very quickly. One is, if you've seen the movie Session 9, it takes place with in the abandoned buildings that I played in as a child. So if you've seen that movie,
I've seen that. Yeah,
that's where I used to play as a little kid. So these were a rundown abandoned jails.
Look at this corner piece in the Roth puzzle.
literally hospitals for the criminally insane. And all of them burned down, abandoned, everything. And it was very, very... And then the second thing is that this female reporter named Nellie Bly infiltrated one of these hospitals, which was a mental hospital, where they basically tortured the patients. And it was called Octagon. And there is a movie called The Snake Pit that is about her going into this hospital and what took place there. So it's incredible. You would walk by it and your blood would turn to ice. So I have numerous stories, but I'll stick with one. So this place that I grew up with, there was also a movie that took place there a few years ago called Dark Water. I didn't know what the movie was about. I didn't know it took place there. And I had this dream one night in which my friend that I grew up with, Ceci, grew up in this building, 514, and I was going to her house. We didn't live near each other at this point in our lives. So it was really weird that I was having this dream about Ceci from my childhood. I walked into her house. At the time, her cat Pastry was basically her daughter.
It's a good cat name.
So it's a great cat name.
Great.
So I walked in and Pastry was in there and I was going, Pastry, where's Ceci? What's going on? And she kept going, she abandoned me. She abandoned me. There were these puddles everywhere and Pastry didn't want to go near them. And I was like, well, she's a cat. She doesn't like water. But it was like something really bad about the puddles. And eventually I walked over to a food dish and there was just glass in it. And she just kept saying, she abandoned me. She abandoned me. So I woke up from this dream going, what the hell? And then 2 days later, I decided to go see this movie, Dark Water, with my boyfriend. Well, it takes place in the place that I grew up with. There's a character, the daughter is named Ceci. They live literally, and it's the actual building in 514. The actual exterior is the same exterior as where I grew up on. And the entire movie is about basically a little girl being abandoned by her mother. And so weird. Add to that, every once in a while, Ed, including 2 weeks ago, I will wake up with the feeling of someone pressing into my mattress and the feeling of them smelling my hair.
514 stayed with you. Hey.
On that note, Justin Bieber.
I don't like it.
Mission in Laughable. Bieber versus Cruz. This is via EW.
This is via ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
Justin Bieber
Appropriate.
sent out a tweet that said, I want to challenge Tom Cruise to fight in the octagon. That's the MMA for those who are not familiar. He wrote, Tom, if you don't take this fight, you're scared and you will never live it down. Who is willing to put on the fight? Guys, what are they promoting?
I think it's going to be something where Tom Cruise will start tweeting back, and it'll be about like a clean
First
water
of all, applause
initiative.
on those selections of images.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
That's
Justin
producing.
Bieber looks really shocked to be getting his photo taken for someone who gets his photo taken literally all day, every day.
Yeah.
It'll be something where it's for clean water, Special Olympics, one of
We
those.
fight for the environment.
Right, something like
Yeah.
that, right?
It's like that episode of Baywatch between Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan when they fought for
Yeah.
a charity on the beach.
Because and it'll just be like a Twitter thing and like maybe a short video. I saw that, but I don't. Baywatch also has a scene where someone has sex with a ghost. I'm trying to keep my Baywatch at bay.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's like a whole episode. There's also a mermaid in one of them. Baywatch is nuts, and no one remembers it. Everyone just remembers the running on the beach. No one remembers the crazy. I do. So, yeah, and they'll put together a video on Instagram or something that's like, we're fighting back against cancer or whatever. Because it's either that or drugs. And so I have to believe that it's
Like they're fighting for drugs?
No, see, I go drugs. I think Bieber is. I try to tread these topics lightly because even famous people can get overwhelmed and broken in the brain. But I think that's where Bieber's at, and he just tweets crazy things now. Like, I actually want to fight Tom Cruise in a ring.
He has money to tweet crazy things. Like
Yeah.
Is he the youngest old eccentric person ever now?
Maybe.
Well, do you think it's like, we don't want to go too far down the making fun of them if we think it's like an Amanda Bynes situation, like you think
Yeah.
he's really ill?
Yeah. But then he also sucks.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm torn. I'm torn. Is she being trash your fault or your brains? I don't know. But yeah, I think it's just like this weird random, he got high and tweeted that. But now it's in the world, and I want it to happen because I think Justin Bieber would go full They Call Me Mr. Glass if he moved like an arm hard enough to try to punch someone and all of his bones would break.
You know what? He strikes me as that weird kind of like sneaky training tip, though. You know what I mean? He learned a couple hip tosses, and now he's feeling himself. You know what I mean? Like,
You think Bieber got them hands, and that's why he wants to fight?
I think he might think he has.
Or he's
them
like
hands.
that guy. He's like that guy that got a Groupon to. It's not a Gracie gym, but it's like a Gersey gym. And he did 4 classes on a Groupon, and now he's like, "I'll take you. I'll take you. What's your ground game? Your ground game ain't shit, Tom Cruise."
Yeah, Yeah, Hoist Stacy Jim.
Yeah. And now he's just like real tough because he learned an armbar. But I do want to see this fight now.
I do too, but I just don't know that either one of them are. I don't want to get too technical, but trained for it, Joe. You know what I mean?
That's why
what I would like to see first is a 6-month training exercise.
Yes, montage
Yeah,
me.
I would like that
me.
montage.
Here's where I challenge. I have a feeling that Tom Cruise tomorrow could step onto a scale for a weigh-in and like actually fight in the UFC. I just have. Would it shock you?
No.
Would it shock if like. If first round in a knockout, Tom Cruise killed some welterweight with a roundhouse, like it would be like the least surprising Tom Cruise thing.
He jumps in a cab and he's taking off his
It's like
gloves.
he-
He's like, oh, let's go.
Never stop smiling.
It's weird, but I believe that he could climb on a plane.
It's gonna be great.
And he has climbed on a plane and like
Yeah.
floated around on a wing. But I just don't know if he knows how to roundhouse kick. But Ed, weigh in.
I think obviously Tom Cruise probably knows like 6 moves. I would not roll up on Tom Cruise talking a bunch of crap at this point in his life. You know what I'm saying? He's very physically fit, and let's say you were getting the better of him. When he takes off running, you're just gonna be like, well, that's it. That's it. Fight over,
He's
Tom.
just circling in the ring, full speed.
He's like,
Creates a tornado.
Dude, he's like, on your left. On your left.
But he's still making eye contact and being super charming.
Yes.
Oh yeah. So and obviously in a real confrontation, I do believe that Tom Cruise would break this fool off.
Oh, he would beat the brakes off of Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Okay, challenge.
Okay.
There's a
Interesting.
lot to speak for crazy. Crazy can go pretty far.
That's true.
In a physical confrontation.
You know what? I love that.
I ain't big, but
I love that. But it's very much like when Batman fights the Joker. There's a lot of plot-induced stupidity and a lot of arduous John Wickian tasks that Batman has gone through and gotten worn down to the point where he can get smacked up by a clown.
So
for
do
a
you think
minute
they're going to
for
get into the
drama's sake.
octagon and Justin Bieber's going to go, you didn't think I was going to let this whole thing hang on a fist fight, did you? And
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's just like,
there's going to be 2 boats.
Yeah.
all right. I want all of that.
Joker Bieber, yeah.
I want it to be for the environment. I would like a 6-month training montage and
Wanna know how I
a
got
boat
these
in the
bars?
octagon.
Well, Megan Thee Stallion.
boat-tagon.
Yeah, Megan Thee Stallion and a rapper organized a beach cleanup with her viral influence from her raps and her saucy jams that she was kicking down.
Mostly
She
twerking.
said,
Also the rap.
yeah, she said, hey, let's go ahead and clean the beach up. And she organized a big one. They went and did stuff. You can do stuff with your influence. So I
Yeah.
would love for this to be something where ultimately they're fighting something that we as humanity should try to fight. I would love that. I would also love it if they just fought outside of like, one of these clubs in LA.
Yeah.
You know,
Outside
Viper room, sidewalk, go. And then Keanu Reeves breaks it up. Best story ever.
Yep.
The one that could beat both of them but like he would be sad to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
He wouldn't want to have to do it, but Keanu could get the shit out of it.
Don't make me do this,
He would go full like psychic
Yeah.
maelstrom,
Yeah.
and they would just,
They would just
collapse.
freeze, yeah.
And then he'd sit on that bench and just be like,
I did.
Sandwich.
Wasn't this week like Ocean Awareness Week or something? Wasn't that? I feel like it
should be.
was. And if it's not, it is now. Be aware of the oceans.
They're everywhere.
because they're aware of you.
It was. I think I retweeted like Ellen Pompeo about like 10 ways you can help the ocean because there's so much plastic in it. I hope that this is a
Loser
move.
cleans out the plastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hope that this truly is a move to support that and that it does end up being on a boat-tagon. That would make my week. If you could challenge one celebrity to the boat-tagon, Danielle, which one would it be?
Oh, challenge Chuck Woolery,
Yeah.
who has me blocked on Twitter.
Nice.
What?
Yeah, he had me blocked on Twitter. I don't
Why?
know. I would have to go back and find the tweet. I am sure I said something wildly out of pocket to Chuck Woolery. Which is a thing I rarely do, but I'm sure that he tweeted something and I was like, So yeah, I am very, very blocked by Mr. 2 and 2.
All right. Proud of you. Joe.
This is my very serious answer. Michael J. White. Because he would beat the holy hell out of me. It would be so fun. I'd learn a lot. That'd be just a cool, fun, humbling experience to try to spar Michael Jai White. I legitimately think that would be the best, and I continue to try to use my Screen Junkies influence to promote a thing that he's doing by offering to get my ass handed to me by him. Just putting that out there on the internet. I want to spar with Michael Jai White. I really do.
I think I can beat Michael Jai White.
No, I can't.
No.
This ain't how I beat Shaq. This is just how I did that thing, and hopefully came out better on the other side of it. Better and limping.
Yeah.
And broken.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm thinking of people I could beat, and the list is so short. Hold on.
No, I think I just revealed more about myself by being like, here's a list of people who I just want to beat the shit out of me.
But you're nice, though, because you want to put over Michael Jai White and let people know that, the bronze...
jobber squash.
Dude, the bronze tiger whooping your ass. You're helping everybody doing that. You're sacrificing yourself.
Fair,
I love it. In that manner, I would love to put over any number of female wrestlers, not in a super pervy way, but I would love to put over any of them. I'd let them slam me all around. Look at all this fat slamming around. Look how strong these women are. They're great. If I was going to put over somebody, I would do something like that. If I was going to actually fight somebody, I don't have any problem with this guy, but I know I could beat him up. So DJ Qualls from
Former Calvin Klein model DJ Qualls. That's a real fact. That's a real fact. Former Calvin Klein model DJ Qualls.
Anybody who wants to, if you Google DJ Qualls right now, you will understand why I think I'm pretty good. Pretty sure.
A solid chance.
I do want to throw it out there that Becky Lynch and all of those women could also just kill you in the I'd actually fight them category. But DJ, I really want you to fight DJ.
I don't think I can top Ed's selections. I mean, for the longest time, I said I truly said the one person I would want to fight club is Michael Bay. I still slightly feel that way.
I still think that
like
that would be amazing.
Yes, it would feel good. It would just feel good. But the other thing that I would do is
feel like he'd be like, okay.
Yeah, no, he would fully engage.
Yeah.
I also think, and that's when you find out that I'm secretly like a ninja. But I also think I might do trial by combat and force Van Damme to fight Seagal, just because like Seagal's such an a-hole, and Van Damme is so crazy, and I'm here for it.
Have a fight for real?
Yeah, a fight for real.
Yeah, I'm into that. Very into that.
All right, guys, that brings us back to the 80s, which was inevitably where we started and stopped today. It's a beef sandwich. So much stuff coming out this week. We have Charting with Dan later today, Honest Trailers commentaries. We're going to have a review for the movie Toy Story 4. And here's one fun fact, one more about the place that I grew up in. Edgar Allan Poe took a little boat there once. It was an island. And he got off, felt the energy, got back on, turned around.
That's fair.
Have a good day. I'm haunted. Yeah, personally, like full of ghosts.
Paranormal Roth activity.